There we are. Let me just set up my goal on the desktop. Sorry, I can't do this in advance. It doesn't allow me to do that. We'll set it for 30 minutes. Hope it doesn't bother my neighbor because I have the windows open today. Yes, it's very nice in Los Angeles right now. Hey, Jane. Just setting up the back end here. Hey, Sassy, you ready? How you doing, my friend? Let me set that up on the phone as well. Hey, Rita Close. I want to make sure I can see all the messages on the phone that are showing up on the desktop in front of me. Cali Girl on Fire, welcome in. Wow, I got all these people participating, but it says I have 2 people. What? What's going on? This is the Nancy Guthrie case, day number 104. Let me just give it a few minutes to get the crowd in here. So if you're watching on the replay, you can always fast forward through the first couple of minutes. Just depends on how quick people can come in. And then I don't have to repeat myself. Hey, thank you for those thumbs up. Thank you for the red hearts and the smiley faces. That definitely helps. Definitely brings more people in, I truly believe. I can't believe that it's day 104. I know I say that every day. I can't believe it's this day and it's that day, but you know, I never thought I'd be sitting here 104 days later still talking about this. At least not in the context that nobody's been arrested. Well, we lost a few people already. Come on, let's bring it in. Let's get enough people so I can get this thing going. It's a Friday night. Actually, still technically afternoon in Los Angeles where I am. 8 people. Come on, let's get it up there. A little bit more people. Because I know as soon as I start this, then we'll have 50 people that'll come in. And they'll say, "What are you talking about?" Hey, Abel. Welcome in. Haven't seen you before. Hey, 25 people. Well, let me introduce myself. I'm April Davis, PI. And it is Friday, May the 15th, 2026. Yeah, 104 days into the Nancy Guthrie case. And in case you don't know, I am a licensed California private investigator, although I am not involved in this case in any way as far as an investigation. And once again, just to remind everybody what the rules are, that everybody here is innocent until proven guilty. You guys can say whatever you want in the chat as far as who you think might be involved, but as far as I'm concerned, everybody here is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. So that means even if an arrest happens, until they're tried and convicted and sentenced, everybody's innocent until proven guilty. And just so you know, because it's Friday night, some of the knuckleheads may come in. No politics, no religion, no bullying, and no arguing with each other in the chat. Sorry, I just have to say that. Kathy, hi, April. How are you? Did you see the Brian Enton new update about the case? No, I didn't. I do have some updates, but if there's some breaking news, let me know. Let me know what it is, Kathy. Has anybody else heard that? The Brian Enton update, the new update regarding the Nancy Guthrie case. Let me know. I've got a few pieces of news today pertaining to the case. It's so funny, too, to get some of the comments that I've been getting on the other videos. It's just like, most of them are positive and are good comments. Like, people really care about her, and, she's like the world's grandma right now. So, okay, let's get into it. We're going to talk about Sheriff Nanos. Yeah, Nanos, Bananas, whatever you want to call him. Some days I love the guy, some days I hate the guy. Some days I want him gone, some days I just feel sorry for him. Frankly, I just think he should retire. He's 70 years old. Cali Girl on Fire, yes, that the sheriff is no longer directly communicating with the Guthries. Only the FBI is. Oh, that's interesting. Well, let me tell you what I heard today. Little news article here by Radar Online, if you can believe them. The embattled sheriff leading the search for Nancy Guthrie says he has secret information about the missing mom's abduction, but he will not be making it public. Once again, he won't be making it public. Radar Online can reveal that Pima County Sheriff Chris Nanos made the claim while insisting the case has not gone cold, despite the fact no arrests or suspects have been named in over 100 days since the 84-year-old Nancy went missing. Um, he told KOLD, that must be a local station, there is absolutely information about Nancy's disappearance that has not been released to the public. Now, I could believe that. I could believe that. Uh, Jane Rice says retire. I think so, Jane. It's not done because we got to keep it secret. It's done because we've got to protect our case, he explained. And I do understand that. The sheriff then shared his optimism that investigators will find the masked man who took Nancy from her home and was caught on surveillance footage tampering with her doorbell cameras. I believe at some point in time we will make an arrest in this case, and whoever that individual is, that individual will have a right to a fair and impartial trial. Yeah, I'm glad he said that. Now, with that in mind, I have heard that after Pima County had this hearing on nanos, that apparently that case and the outcome of that case is pending because Pima County has turned that case over to their lawyers regarding the situation with Nanos, regarding the allegations that he lied on his job application about his past history when he was a police officer in El Paso. As Nancy Grace would say, call in the lawyers. Let's just wait and see how this shakes out. If this dude is 70, just retire, man. I mean, do you really need the money at that age? Is he involved in some sort of, I don't know, something that would cause financial issues and he has to still work? I mean, I'm a lot younger than him. And, you know, I guess if it weren't for my disability, I'd still be working full time, but I wouldn't be doing that forever. I would retire at some point, especially if I had a law enforcement pension. My God, that's why I wanted to be in law enforcement to begin with, not just because that's what I was meant to do, but I would have great medical benefits and a terrific pension. Kathy says it's all about his ego. That's a good point, Kathy. Um, Now, there's something else that's been floating around because of all these experts that have been weighing in, like these retired law enforcement officers or criminal profilers. You know, everybody's got a YouTube channel, everybody's in an interview, everybody's got an opinion. Many people following this case believe that front porch guy is deceased. That very well could be, or that very well could not be. The person that I still strongly believe, I very strongly believe who front porch guy is, as far as I know, he is still with the living. Now, if you want to, call a tip into 1-800 call FBI, unless you know where the body is, they're probably not going to listen to it. I'm still sitting here waiting for the FBI to return my calls. Not because I know it's never going to happen. Just saying. Um, I'm going to bring up something about another famous kidnapping case, just to kind of make the point that that often does happen, not just in the movies, but it often does happen that one of the co-conspirators is taken out. Um, I'm going to talk about this case, another kidnapping case. I'm not going to say the name. You guys will probably, figure out who it is. But it's a famous kidnapping case in the United States where a group is believed to have been involved. And if you were to believe the ransom note, just saying, one of the member of the group, one of the members of the group may have been silenced or unalived, is a better way of putting it, about 9 weeks later. Now, this is for real. People have short memories here. A male who had been semi confessing to a coworker but the police return or refuse to return the coworkers like dozen or more calls. This person, okay, may have been involved in a very famous case. Um, as I said earlier, reminds me of a situation where I tried to call 1-800, call FBI. Now, here's what happened. A man was found unalived in the area where this kidnapping had occurred. It's a very famous kidnapping case. The police ruled it a self unaliving. However, the man who was unalived, who was a right handed person, suffered a fatal wound. Let's just say with a GUN, because we can't say that word here on a monetized channel, to the left side of his head. A pillow was also found next to him, as if he had covered the face, while the GUN was conveniently found placed in his right hand, which was now on the right side of his body. So, in other words, if this is what really happened, the right-handed man who had a wound over here with a pillow over his face would have had to have been, I don't know, is the correct word, a contortionist, to place that weapon in the right hand, reach around to the left side of his head, pull the trigger, and then after he was already gone, you know what I'm saying, then managed to somehow place his right hand and right arm down next to the right side of his body, whilst still holding the GUN. Okay, now this has nothing to do with the Nancy Guthrie case, but the point I'm trying to make is that the co-conspirators or the worker bees are sometimes taken out. However, in the Nancy Guthrie case, there is zero evidence at this time that this is the case, that front porch guy is no longer with us. Now, not that it couldn't happen soon. Nanos, FBI, get it together. Check those flight records. Check those passports. Check everybody who has suddenly left town, got rid of their belongings, got rid of their apartments or their wherever they were staying, and they have split. Okay? Once again, it seems like all the characters, all the yahoos that have been involved in the story since day one are somehow connected through the 6 degrees of separation. It seems like everybody in Tucson knows everybody. I thought that Tucson must be the smallest town in the world. Um, let's see. G Shady, welcome in. Hi, Kathy. Miss you coming in. I'm sorry. Okay. Got to put a user in the time out. Okay. But thanks for the engagement. I knew it was coming sooner or later. So, laundry day was yesterday, the topic of conversation. So, that's what's been talked about today. That Nano says, he has some secret information, but he just can't release it at this time. And I hope that that's true. I hope that that's true. Now, a lot of you guys have been talking about the family, Annie and Tommaso. Once again, everybody here on my channel is innocent until proven guilty. And for those who do say they're guilty, who publicly said it, and it turns out that it isn't the case, assuming this case actually gets solved and it's somebody else, there's going to be a heck of a lot of lawsuits coming down. And Annie and Tommaso will be very wealthy people. They just got to hold on somehow financially until that time. Remember, Savannah thinks that nobody in her family is involved. Savannah could be absolutely right. She's a very smart woman. On the same time, she could be so grief-stricken that she's living in a dream world. We don't know. But if you can go catch Front Porch Guy, which you already have video evidence of, Front Porch Guy will roll quickly on everybody involved to save his own hide. That's the way it works. Go get one of the least important people that's involved in this case, arrest them, threaten them, scare the bejesus out of them. And then when they confess to who hired them and why and for how much, then all of this can be proven in a court of law. Then there'll be enough evidence for the police to go to the district attorney and say, hey, I need arrest warrants or I need search warrants on this, this, and this, because this guy that we've detained or we've arrested has now told us this, and this. It's Detective School 101. I hope that they're not just waiting on the DNA evidence from a single strand of rootless hair. Kathy says, did I see Brian's videos today? No. They're on vacation and she had Nancy's groundskeeper working at Annie's house. They are on vacation. Who was on vacation? Annie and T? And she had Nancy's groundskeeper working at Annie's house. I haven't seen anything like that. No, they should be investigating, handsome man. But I'm just saying, that's usually how it works. You get a lead, you follow the lead, you get at least one person involved. Oh, sassy granny. Sue number 3. But all you Sues are number 1 in my book. Thank you so much. Let me give you a heart on that. Everybody, give Sassy Granny a thumbs up on that super chat. That's what you heard on a YouTube channel. Okay, I haven't heard that. Remember, there's 150 million of us YouTubers, so let's just I'll have to watch like the Brian Itten videos tonight. I do follow him. Callie Girl says, I think A&T are in hiding. I think so too, and there could be a lot of reasons for that. You know, maybe they're getting death threats. Remember, they do have a minor child, and I heard his name today, but I won't say it online. But it's a boy. Sassy Granny 8. You are awesome. I wish we lived closer so we could go to lunch. Absolutely, Sassy Granny. Handsome Man says, Sassy Granny, you are kind. She has been a very big supporter of the channel, and she's one of the newer members of the channel. Now, I think I'm going to have to find her email, but there was a woman that came into this channel who is actually a neighbor of Miss Nancy's. She lives in the Catalina foothills, and she was the one that explained to me that Tucson is a much bigger town than what I thought. Because, you know, some of these YouTubers are making it sound like it's not a nice place and it's very small. You know, like LA, for instance, is an hour away from LA. Well, they say that in Tucson, even if you're across town, Tucson is 20 minutes from Tucson. So I really would like a confirmation on the real timeline of what happened on Sunday morning, February 1st, as to when the church person called Annie. When did Annie and Tommaso go over to the house? You know, when did they arrive after they had been called that she didn't show up for the church service? How long did they wait to call the police? How long did she wait to call Savannah? I'm very disturbed that why are these timelines changing? Because it doesn't make them look less guilty by the police giving different timelines when they should have just, you know, kept their mouth shut from the beginning. Yeah. And, you know, he admits now that this case was a mess. Well, yeah, whose fault is that? You know, I'm April Davis PI, and my company's name, you know, back in the day before I became disabled, which is still technically a company, but, you know, I'm 99.9% retired, was April Davis Investigations. And I never had employees, but I had a lot of independent contractors, subcontractors, all licensed, insured, all of us. They set their own schedules. They provided their own equipment. They worked their own schedule. They were legally subcontractors. But when they went out and messed something up, guess what? April Davis PI has to fix it. Either I have to fix it or I have to pay somebody else to fix it, even if we lose money on the case, because then at the end of the day, the company's called April Davis Investigations. And so it all rests on me. As Sherwood Swartz, the executive producer and creator of the Brady Bunch and Gilligan's Island, once told me during a 3-hour lunch, he said, "You are now your own executive producer and you wear 10 different hats, but it all rests on my shoulders. So if this case is a mess, that's on you, Nanos. Whether you're responsible for that or not, it's on you." And if I were in his shoes, I would retire. But maybe he's not going to do that because maybe he really does have this secret information that could be the key to this whole case, and he's just not allowed to say anything. Now, it bothers me, though, that the sheriff and the FBI appear, I say appear, to no longer be communicating with each other. It's imperative that everybody involved in this case, that they work together as a group. Don't worry about who's going to get the credit. Yeah. If I'm right about Front Porch Guy, I'll be willing to share the reward with everybody that's also pointed the finger at that particular person. I don't expect that to happen. That's not why I called it in. It has nothing to do with the money. I truly want this woman found, and I don't want the Guthrie family to suffer any longer. Even if this is solved and they know who did it, they're still going to have to live with the fact that this is how their mother's life ended. That, this poor 84-year-old woman was ripped out of her bedroom in the middle of the night without her heart medication, without her pain medication that she allegedly was taking, without her hearing aids. Heck, they think maybe she didn't even have her shoes or her daytime clothing. She was in her night clothes, her bed clothing. No street clothes, no shoes, no meds, no hearing aids. She couldn't hear what they were saying as they were dragging her out the front door. It's just awful. And I'm assuming that if that's how she was taken out, I think she was because of the blood and the oxygenated blood. Um, you will have to watch the video, Kathy. Watch the suspect video. It's under my video tab. If this all gets sorted out later on, I'll be able to tell every single one of you what I have believed is the situation since the second week of February. I had this thing pretty wrapped up here as a high probability, not exactly 100% because I don't have access to the information, but more than ever, as every day passes, there's more and more information that's coming out that's pointing to my front porch guy. And it really does show that Tucson seems like a much smaller town than it is. I would love to be able to have a live conversation. I don't have StreamYard, but if Miss Nancy's neighbor, if she's watching these, I know she's very busy with her career, but if she is continually watching me, I think I'm going to send her an email tonight, and I will give her my private number. And if she would like to go on speaker and talk to me live for all of you guys to hear, because I really would love to hear the perspective of someone who knows Savannah and someone who lives in Nancy's neighborhood and can describe everything we need to know about Tucson and the Catalina foothills and the crime rate there and the risk that people think that this town has because of its close proximity to the border. Um, you know, I'd love to hear her speak, and I'm sure all of you guys would love to hear her speak. So if you're watching this, Sandra, please contact me. aprildavispi at gmail.com. Let me go back. We answered Kathy's question. Yeah, I'm not trying to be difficult, Kathy. Just I want everybody to see that list. And that was made, several weeks ago. And I can only make it into like a 24-minute video. So there's obviously other suspects that are probably not even on the suspect list video, but some of the primary characters or actors or yahoos are listed. Nancy was unalived at Annie and Tommaso's home, said in another video. I don't believe that based on the blood evidence, the oxygenated blood. And let's not go off the deep end. If you've been watching all these lives about the lady that came in, I'm not going to name her, but she came into a chat on a very prominent YouTuber's chat, late night chat, and, basically claimed that she was killed or unalived elsewhere and that the suspects used a turkey baster and came over and placed the blood on the front porch. Like, let's not even entertain that ridiculous theory. Um, they took her blood and brought it to the porch to make out she was collected from the home. Well, if that was true, Handsome, they would not have been able to get the oxygen bubbles in the blood. And by the way, some of the blood droplets dried. It was apparent that there was oxygen that was in those droplets that came from, it was aspirated from the mouth or the nose or both. Also, the blood droplets were from a lower level, as if somebody had been, maybe punched or struck in the face, and then, fell down. Um, Joel said, Brian says that Nanos isn't talking to the family. I'm going to have to watch some of the most recent things on Brian. I do watch him pretty regularly. Hey, Jamie James, welcome in. Hope your move went well. You did watch the suspect video. Okay, hold on. Oh, I hit the wrong button. Sorry. Um, I cannot say Cali Girl on Fire because I think there's multiple people involved in this. I don't think this is the lone wolf type of job. Who is the porch guy? I can't say that here. Jamie James. Nano seems to think the case is closing soon on the news reports. Yes, that seems to be what I'm hearing. But, because the guy is so contradictory at times, I don't have a lot of faith. Oh gosh. Somebody said a naughty word. No, I'm not trying to hide your message. I'm trying to put you in timeout. There we go. I still think it's a tease to keep people wondering. It could be, Jamie. Nanos is hiding details and wants this case cold. It sure looks that way, but we'll find out, won't we? Good point, Joe. Joe Wells says, I have heard that he is addicted to gambling. I've heard that too. I've also heard the same thing about Tommaso, also known as Tommy, also known as Tomato, and Neckbeard. Have you guys seen the guy? I can't remember his name. Oh my God, he's a big YouTuber and he's a recovered drug addict and a reformed criminal. Spent a lot of time in prison, apparently. He calls him Neckbeard. I just have to laugh at that every time. We have to find the humor in this sometimes, just like the turkey baster lady. I literally almost fell off my chair. um, Porch guy is the only suspect we have seen at the front door, 2 a.m. Yes. Cali Girl on Fire says, okay, I'll keep sleuthing. But yeah, there is a possibility of gambling issues, but they're all alleged. That would explain why he's 70 years old and he's not retired, but there could be other reasons. I'm not going to say that he's a gambler or that Tommaso is a gambler when I can't prove anything, just like I'm not going to say who did it when I can't prove it. I remember I'm not working the case. I'm just reporting on it. Kathy says he had a couple today. Brian is who I am speaking of. Okay. I will watch those later, Kathy. Dawn, welcome in. She says, "Hello, April. I hope you are well." I am well. Well, I'm surviving. Um, yeah. So, wow. Uh, is there anything else I wanted to say? I think I already said this, but I'll say it again. Let's just emphasize this. For all that are jumping on the Annie and Tommaso bandwagon as being the possible ringleaders or in being involved in this crime in any way, remember, everybody here at April Davis PI is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. I pray for Savannah's sake that's not true. Uh, Dean says Pima County population is 1 million and Tucson population is 500,000. You are an absolutely amazing and talented person. Well, I spent 42 years, as a gumshoe. So I'm not tooting my own horn, but that's the only thing I know how to do. Thank you, Dean. I appreciate that. And thanks for letting me know. Like I said, I would love to have Sandra come on, even if we just had to, since I don't have like StreamYard or OBS or anything like that, where I could just, have her call in and we could put her on speaker because she is a neighbor of the Guthries and she's she was able to tell me quite a bit about Tucson. She's, very intelligent woman, very well spoken. I think she would be an asset to be able to bring her in here. I'll have to contact her by email. Hopefully, I still have her email address. If I don't, and you're watching Sandra, please send me an email. Jamie says we're in Louisville for another couple of weeks. It's beautiful but wild. Looking for our forever home in the country. Oh, you mean in the country of in near Louisville, or your forever home in the country like the United States? Uh, Dawn says, I'm watching Brian today, and apparently the Guthries are fed up with nanos and they refuse to speak to each other now. Dean says, toot toot. No, not really. Oh, I haven't heard that, Kathy. Thank you for bringing that up. There are also rumors, and I like how you worded that rumors of marital problems between Annie and Tommaso. Interesting. There's also been the rumors about Savannah Guthrie and Michael Feldman. I don't know if they're true. I hope not. Poor sweet Savannah. There's another lady that comes in here, Lori. That's her username. Former flight attendant, used to fly into LAX quite a bit. And I think she worked for a private charter airline. Uh, and she actually flew in Savannah Guthrie when she was a correspondent for the White House, which I never knew. And she said wonderful things about Savannah. So there's actually two people that have come in here that either knew Savannah or have met Savannah, and one of those people actually lives in the Catalina foothills near Miss Nancy's house. It's just like, wow, it's amazing. All these new people, like all you guys that are watching right now, and all you guys that have subscribed and have been sending me messages and emails and contributing to the channel. Anakin, hello. Dawn says it's probably over money problems. Many divorces end over money issues. Yes, that's true. Okay, this is interesting. Kathy, I just love you being here, Kathy. It goes back to when Annie asked for a loan, 3/23/25. It's so interesting that you would bring up March 25 because when we started these videos, when this case started, Annie and Tommaso had only been living in their new home less than a year. I believed I think they closed escrow in March 2025, and there have been persistent rumors that Annie, prior to, Nancy's disappearance, had asked for a loan. Now, I've never known where these rumors came from, but I have since been told that a good friend of Nancy's privately told somebody that, but it obviously didn't stay private if that's true. That a friend of hers said that the daughter had asked for a loan and she had been turned down. I've also heard rumors, because these are none of these things have been proven, that even though Tommaso is reportedly a sixth grade science teacher, that he had not worked the entire 2026 school year. I don't know if that's true. I'd love to know that. Um, Anna can remember me. Yes, I do. Um, Don McWhorter says to me, but I could be wrong. TNA seem like night and day. Yes and no, because if you look at his band, and it kind of runs along the same line as, remember, Derek Kallela? Remember that name? He too has a band that's got kind of creeper music. And then you add that in with the information that was reported regarding the Wiccan community and Annie being allegedly, reportedly, speculatively a witch, you know, and their connection to people who are involved in these S fetish balls. We had whole videos about that too. And some of their friends are kind of not the best of people as far as their character and their morals. Then maybe they're two peas in a pod, because they both just seem very dark to me. But that's only my opinion. I have never met them. Um, Kathy says they are not looking at Annie right now, just Tom and Dom. According to DNA, Dom's DNA matches. Oh, where have you heard that? Where have you heard that? That's interesting. Yeah, where have you heard that, Kathy? I'm gonna look it up right now on Google, see if anything comes in. Dominic Aaron Lee Evans, a bandmate and longtime friend of Tommaso Cioni, has come under public scrutiny after Nancy Guthrie's son-in-law was alleged to be involved in her disappearance. Remember, alleged. Tommaso and Dominic are former members of the band Early Black, which was formed along with Walter Goncalves Jr. Now, I've also heard that Dominic is allegedly a convicted felon and that his wife may be employed at the same school that Tommaso either is or was employed at. How old is that post, April? What post? You'd have to ask Kathy about that. They are not looking at Annie right now, just Tommaso and Dominic, according to DNA. Dom's DNA matches. I have not heard that. I've not heard that at all. I'd love to. I'm not saying it's not true. I would just love to know where you heard that. Oh, the one I just read? Oh, that's just if you put that name into Google and it says, oh, it was dated February 14th, 2026. Hmm. Okay. And by the way, I do not believe at all that tomato, I don't believe he is the man at the front door. But we've seen very little of him. But the eyebrows definitely, they don't fit at all. Just saying. Yeah. It doesn't fit to me at all. Joel says Tucson population is 554,000. See, I didn't realize it was that big. I mean, to me, that's small because I live in a county that has 12 million people. And those are just the ones we know about. It's probably actually a lot higher. But, I think Vegas is a small town. And in the Vegas metropolitan area, there's over 1 million people now. But to me, it's Mayberry. And so is Phoenix. And Phoenix is a much bigger town than Tucson. But still, that's a lot. That's bigger than Anchorage, Alaska. Thank you so much. Mostly Dolls Helicopter sent me a gold coin. Much appreciated. Thank you for coming in. So, yeah, that's the latest today. Nanos has got some secret information. And according to you guys, the Guthries and Nanos, they're on the outs. That could be true. May not be true. Everything is speculative. Remember that word came from Nanos. Not like I didn't know that word before, but I just like to use it now since he started it. I don't remember. I like to watch mostly True Crime News Nation, Law and Crime Network, Nancy Grace, and Brian Inton. No, Don was front door guy, I believe. What they said was it was his hair strand. Well, that hair strand has been forwarded to the FBI, who most likely has forwarded that to a private lab in San Francisco after it sat for 12 weeks in Florida at the Florida private lab that Pima County is contracted with to no avail. But that's the big thing that this case is hedging on, and it worries me that the whole case is hedging on a rootless single strand or partial strand of hair that was found in a house that the victim has lived in since 1975, and there's all kinds of people coming and going to that house. I mean, it doesn't hurt to test it. Maybe they found it in her bedroom, but is it going to take another 12 weeks to start this all over again? And then it could be somebody that's not even in CODIS, and then they wouldn't even know who it is. So we will see. Now, if it was Dominic, he would be in CODIS based on what we're hearing about his alleged criminal felonious past. Cali Girl on Fire, thank you for posting this. According to Google, there are no articles or videos that say DE's DNA is a match. I haven't heard that. That would be huge news if that came out. There are a lot of AI videos out there, so you have to be careful. Exactly. Exactly. And it's getting very hard to differentiate, between what's real and what's not real. Yeah, that would be like the biggest story of this case if they found out whose DNA that was. And everybody's a possibility. But I'm feeling very negative about that last hair strand because if that's all they have and it doesn't match anybody that's involved in this, we're right back at the beginning. Maggie says, hello, April, and new YouTube friends. Welcome in, Maggie. Yeah, remember I had somebody come in here once who told me during a video that Tommaso had just been arrested and was taken away in handcuffs. That didn't happen at all. And the most ludicrous thing you've ever heard on here is when I told you guys the story about a woman. She was an older woman, elderly woman, who was on a panel of a very well-known YouTuber, and she said that they brought the blood from another location and placed it at the scene with the turkey baster. And I am not making that up. It's ludicrous. It didn't happen. But like I said, we have to have some humor in this case. There's got to be a few moments where we have to laugh. And sometimes I do watch some of these other YouTubers, some of these yahoos just for entertainment. I watched the Juice last night for a little while. I actually shot him a super chat. And thank you for everybody sending me a super chats because that allowed me to return the favor to him. And I just, thanked him for, being out there. And it was 96 degrees. And remember, they're not allowed to park. The YouTubers that are on scene, they're not allowed to park anywhere near that house. So he had to hike a long ways, and he wasn't in a covered tent or anything. He was just out there in the wind in 96-degree heat, like for hours. God bless the dude. Um, yeah, yeah. Somebody here, several people had mentioned him, and I've been getting more messages since I mentioned it. Was it yesterday that I mentioned this, or the day before? All the days are just clouding my mind. There's so much to remember on this. But some other people have since come in saying that they too saw a comment about me in a News Nation video. So yeah, uh, they came over and they subscribe. They're watching me, or they've subscribed to my channel because they read about me in a comment that was on a News Nation video. And I had mentioned it here, and I said, they have over 1 million subscribers. Well, you know what? I was actually wrong. I mean, well, I wasn't totally wrong. They do have over 1 million subscribers. But last I checked, they had 2.67 million subscribers. So for a mainstream, you know, YouTube channel that has 2.67 million subscribers, and that's huge for someone to write on one of their videos about Nancy Guthrie, come over and watch me. That's awesome, man. So any of the new people that came over from News Nation, welcome to my channel. Kathy Mowry says, I don't even know. I do know they can also go to any online ancestry agency and match any. They must give results to law enforcement agencies. That is somewhat true. But that doesn't apply to some of those types of companies that do not give out information. And it doesn't apply to someone who is not in those ancestry databases. Dean says, the Juice and Criminal Network are streaming live now across from Miss Nancy's. Thanks for letting me know. Yeah, I tuned into him last night for a little while. Oh, you saw that comment? Cool, Kathy. Like, I was just like, I couldn't believe it. Like, wow. Kathy, I'm just wondering how good this hair is that they found. I just hope it's not another dead end. You know what? It could be a dead end. It's worth checking, but they shouldn't have wasted 12 weeks at the lab in Florida just because, Nanos's ego not wanting to turn over that hair to the FBI. Because wonder if it's important. Wonder if it does turn out to be a match to somebody and now it's too late. And that person conveniently turns up gone. And they're the only person out there that could tell us everything we need to know. The longer this goes, chances become slimmer and slimmer and slimmer. I've basically, in my own mind, I've had it figured out in under 2 weeks. Let me pat myself on the back. Now, but I know that I'm not working this case, and it's a 500-piece puzzle, and we only have a few of the pieces, like 5 or 10%. It's very hard to put a 500-piece puzzle together with only 5 to 10% of the working pieces. And there's all these, holes in the puzzle because I don't have any more access than the rest of you have. But, anybody here, let me know in the chat if you have 42 years of investigative experience. Anybody here with a criminal justice, administration of justice education? Anybody here with a licensed private investigative agency? That's what I do. Now, I'm not good at anything else, but that's what I do. And there's certain people, there's certain things that should have been done from the very beginning that were very obvious, at least to me, that weren't done. Um, Maggie, I have not seen that. Have you ever wondered why Nancy's home was for sale in 2024 and then it wasn't? I've mentioned many times, Maggie, that I never did a title search on this, and I don't plan on it because I'd have to call, ringy dingy to my real estate agent and ask her for a favor and say, hey, can you run a title search on Nancy Guthrie's house? And then there'd be hundreds of papers to go through. But I did do a Google search on her house when this case first happened, and it gave me her address and it showed me a document about a second mortgage in 2017. Now, do I actually have the document? No, because I haven't done a title search, but there is a document on YouTube, or excuse me, Google. Yeah, Google owns YouTube, but there is a Google document that talks about the 2017 mortgage, how much, what the payment is for how many years, who it was taken out by. Of course, we don't know why. I've always wondered that. And I've said for the last 104 days, I wonder why nobody else has mentioned that. Let's see. As pressure is put on even AI videos, someone is going to break. Robert, I'm mad there's UFOs up in the clouds. I don't. What are you talking about, Robert? Are you talking about my green screen, or are you talking about something completely different? Well, we're only going to be here another few minutes. So everybody, speak your piece. Ask me any questions you want to ask me. Tell me what you've heard today. I know that I need to watch Brian Enton videos tonight. Exactly, Don. We are talking about Nancy Guthrie, not UFOs. Although I do have some UFO videos if you're interested in that. Oh, yeah, I've got a couple videos on that, Robert. I've got two. They're under the live video tab if you'd like to go see them. But I'm not talking about that on this Nancy Guthrie video. Just go into my channel. Click live. You'll see the videos. I have wondered if Savannah wanted Nancy to move. I've wondered that too, Maggie. How can we find out who you believe the suspect is? It's a bit of a tease. No, it's has nothing to do with being a tease. I'm not doing this for clicks. I haven't even received my first friggin' YouTube check yet. This. Have you been to law school? Have you worked in the law for 42 years? I'm not going to be so stupid and come on here and name a suspect publicly. This is an active criminal investigation. Dean, very good question. That's a very good question, Dean. I am curious if law enforcement checked out the past renters. I wondered that too. The renters in the casita, also known as the guest house. And based on things that have come up, I have a strong suspicion that they have from the very beginning. Because apparently there were a lot of names that were connected to the casita, even people that weren't living there that were connected to someone who was living there at one time. And it raised some red flags that there were a lot of people, there were a lot of certain names of a certain ethnicity of people that were coming up at Nancy's address, even though they never lived there. I'm funny. Not trying to be. I wish I was a comedian, then I'd probably have, a lot bigger YouTube following. I'm just a facts ma'am kind of girl. Maggie says maybe Annie and her husband were recruited to help her stay in her home because she didn't want to move. I totally think that that's possible. I don't think she wanted to move. That's the only thing she has tied. That's the only thing she has left in her life that's tied to her marriage with her husband, Charles, who's been passed away since Savannah was 16. They lived in the house since 1975. He passed in Mexico, apparently of a heart attack on his job or while away on his job in Mexico. I don't know if he was on or off duty. And she's done everything she has to make a life and a career for herself, and to be able to pay that mortgage and the property taxes, which are fairly high, for all these years. And she's a very strong, independent, spicy woman, I believe. That's what I would think that she would be if I met her. Uh, Dawn says, maybe she wasn't very mobile to move and pack up everything. At a certain age, you just want to stay put. I feel the same way about my apartment, which is it's a good thing, but it's also sort of a negative thing because I think, wow, is this the last place I'm ever going to live before it's over? Hi, Brian. Maggie, very good point. Extremely good point. Savannah may have worried about her mother for reasons other than her declining health. Exactly. Robert, we're not talking about that tonight. Go see the other videos. Oh, Dawn says moving is rough when you get older. Absolutely. And I'm young enough to be her daughter. And with everything that's happened to my heart because of my cancer treatment, like I wouldn't be able to lift a thing. It'd be more than just me having to hire movers. I'd have to have, people come over and help me with the animals and, getting things packed and set up. And it'd be a nightmare. I just don't want to go through that kind of stress. And I'm in a city that's become unaffordable. And, I don't know why she had that second mortgage. There could be a lot of explanations for that. It even could have been for routine maintenance. Brian says I can hardly get to the kitchen. Well, luckily I still can because my place is pretty small. Now, getting to the laundry room in the back of the building and the garbage bin and the recycle bin out in the driveway at the very opposite end of the property is a little bit harder for me. Maggie says, I still don't understand why her security wasn't beefed up. Because I think she felt safe there. I don't think she felt that she needed that. I'm sure if she did need that, Savannah would have gladly paid for it. Since NBC is apparently paying for Savannah's security. And, once again, if she had the Nest doorbell subscription, she would have seen the masked man that they believe was already on camera as early as January the 11th, and they would have known that something was getting ready to go down. Because if there was a masked man outside my door, trust me, I'm ready. But I would know it ahead of time. She didn't know. This whole thing is horribly sad. Just, it's awful. It's very sad. If I were Savannah, I would have insisted on it. Just my humble opinion. Yeah. Well, her mom is still her mom, and she has to have respect for her mom. And she didn't seem to have dementia or Alzheimer's, but her physical health was certainly declining. Some days her back hurt so bad she couldn't even walk from the front door to the mailbox. And now I'm hearing that she was on daily pain medication, but I don't know that to be true. Oh, good night, Jane. It's a horrible case. And no matter how this turns out, I say pray for Nancy, pray for Savannah, pray for anybody, all of Nancy's loved ones. Dawn says, well, we have a missing 84-year-old woman and nowhere to be found and no answers as to what happened. This case is backwards. Yes, it is. And let's just hope that the police really do have this secret information that I talked about at the beginning of the video. I've heard that too, Maggie. Nancy's friends say she was more mobile. Interesting. Yet apparently she still drove her car, but not so much at night. Brian says, I hope this doesn't turn out poorly. Well, sadly it will, because, they're not going to find her alive, in my opinion. And it's going to be really, really bad if somebody close to her is involved. And everybody here is innocent until proven guilty. Wow, there's 42 people here. Can I get a thumbs up? Smack that like button. Let me check the latest, because I heard the little metric clock go off behind me while I was here. I'm at 2872. Wow. I'm only 128 subscribers away from 3,000. And I'd like to have some sort of just a party that everybody can come to, and we can just hang out and chat when that happens. Everybody, I thank you so much for coming. Oh, thank you, Sassy Granny, if you're still here, for the super chat. Much love to you.